Hi, it's Rick Harsh. This is my weekly news show. I haven't done one for a couple of weeks, but something very interesting happened in Russia today or yesterday. Prigozhin, the head of the mercenary group Wagner, named after Honus, the baseball player, Honus Wagner, his private plane crashed not far from Moscow on the way to St. Petersburg, and there were a number of deaths. Maybe 10 people died. One of them had to have been Prigozhin. And all we know about it for sure is that all of the Russian papers are saying that it crashed. Prigozhin's plane crashed. No list of the dead as far as I know. But presumably Prigozhin has been eliminated. You may recall that about a month ago, he rebelled against Putin. And, at that time, I thought, that's a little suspicious. Very quick rebellion. The Russian military shot a missile or two into the Wagner battlefield or whatever, and killed some Wagnerians. Not all baseball players, probably, but, not all composers either. If you are a Richard Wagner proponent, if you think that's what they're named after. But they were a mercenary group, and they're very active in Africa. And, I'm not sure what to think about them. Are they more like the French Foreign Legion, or are they more like Blackwater? And Blackwater matters to me because in my book, The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas, I have a group called Blackguard. And the other day I rewatched Chris Villa's wonderful YouTube video on Eddie Vegas. And I don't know, he probably got it, but, when you're describing a book like that long and intricate, it's not always possible to say everything or correct every misleading thing. And he described Blackguard, my invention, as a kinder, gentler Blackwater, and he never corrected that, because what you find out is that it's really not a kinder, gentler Blackguard. That's just something they did to steal contracts from the rival Blackwater, and the rivalry between the head of Blackguard and Blackwater plays a role in the novel in a couple of places. So if the Wagner Group is indeed a security company like that, I would say they're a little more active than Blackwater was. Blackwater was kind of like a military platoon unleashed. And they did a lot of horrific things in Fallujah and elsewhere in Iraq during that war. And, basically, nobody likes a mercenary group. I don't know a lot about the Wagner Group. I just think it's a strange name for a strange phenomenon, The war in Ukraine is not going so well for the Russians, but the Wagner Group is coming, and that may turn things around. I don't know if anybody ever said that, but I think they did. But a month ago, after their positions were shelled, the Wagner Group took over Rostov-on-Don and claimed that they were on the march toward Moscow, a rebellion against Putin's army. And it very quickly ended without bloodshed. And then the news was kind of sparing from there. There was talk of the prime dictator of Belarus acting as a mediator between Putin and Prigozhin. And then there was talk about Prigozhin being back in Russia and back in Putin's inner circle or good graces or whatever. And it all seemed so quick that I thought, was this real? But I didn't really think it through. And if I'd have thought it through, I'd have thought, it can't be real because Putin can't afford to see someone rebelling against him. So they wouldn't have concocted this story. So something happened, that's for sure. But then, it's still odd to see someone say, all right, Vlad, you pushed me too far, and now we're going after you. And, the fearsome Wagner Group, and can you imagine these aren't the Cossacks, they're kind of like degenerate Cossacks, more like the French Foreign Legion. And so they continued to exist. Prigozhin was seen supposedly in Africa, Belarus, Russia, and apparently was in Moscow recently. And then his plane dropped out of the sky. We don't know. There were reports that they were shot down, a missile attack. I don't know if they're trying to blame it on Ukrainians or not. But from the one YouTube show that I watched about it, breaking news, and they experts on Russia and the head foreign correspondent of this channel, they speculated that what Putin did was wait and find out everything he could about the plot, which apparently everything's apparent, apparently included some of his top generals, and they indicated that several of them had been destroyed, murdered, as Prigozhin probably was. Anyway, interesting foreign news. Let's see what we can gather in the next couple of days. Russia doesn't have what you'd call the freest press in the world, so it'll be interesting to see what they let out and what they want people to think. It definitely will cost them some Cossacks, but other than that, I don't know. Because anyway you slice it, it doesn't look good for Russia, because if Prigozhin, dies in a plane crash, an accident or not, I don't know. If, Prigozhin is killed, along with several generals, then it actually still suggests that there was a military rebellion, and that won't look good for Putin in any way. All he can do as an autocrat is to make sure that the next plotters are more careful. Reminds me of the attack on Hitler. I can't remember the number of people that were executed after the failed attempt on him by Stauffenberg. A couple hundred at least. Were they all plotters or were they sympathizers? And that seems to be one parallel here. Um, Although there was no attempt on Putin's life, as far as I know, but an attempt on his army right now, when they are when they've already failed to do what they were attempting to do in Ukraine, and they're still embroiled in it, and enough to still wreak havoc beyond the borders of Ukraine, and very much so within the borders of Ukraine. Um, it's a serious incident. So let's see what happens. My guess, we won't know much for a long time. Thanks for tuning in.